Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. I do hope things are coming through clearly. I am trying to use the news studio from YouTube because they're telling me you have until the end of April to use it because we're going to close down everything else, which, thanks, YouTube. Our overlord masters are just wonderful, wonderful things. But it is what it is. And of course, you guys, as you can see, I am joined by the most spectacular and resplendent god of electricity and he really enjoys it coming out of all his various orifices, particularly his nipples. I don't know if you know this, but men can lactate, and of course, therefore, he is Thundero.
I did know that actually. Unfortunately, I've witnessed it
Yeah.
in person with other, not myself, but other men. But yes, it's a thing. It's a thing that can happen.
It is a thing that can happen, but I don't know. I guess it's working. I suppose now I have to go see if I can find my own channel. Thanks a lot once again, YouTube. You guys are just awesome. Let me see. Is it all working? It is working. Look at that. All right. But I think I'll stay over on this side anyway. But no, maybe I won't. No, screw that. Just so you guys know that now that I have a whole nother layer to add on. I have a 20 plus second delay. Isn't that wonderful?
Oh, it's just spectacular.
It's magic. It is magic.
Magical.
Ho ho, it's magic, you know. Sorry, I can't resist it. But anyway, how you doing, man? What's going on, Thunder?
I am as spectacular as I can be. Still locked down in the old quarantine, stay-at-home order,
Mhm.
as they call it. So other than that, yeah, I'm great. Pretty getting pretty bored though. It's getting
Yeah,
pretty boring, I'll tell you what.
yeah. This whole thing is kind of interesting when it comes to America. Of course, we will not name that which cannot be named, Voldemort. But which is Big Brother. Thank you. But it's really interesting to me because I imagine sadly, the death rate will go up. I'm sure. But did you know that we're already less this year than the normal flu season?
Yes. Well, I think a lot of that has to do with, as I've said on TFT and stuff before, they exaggerate how many people actually die from the flu in America, especially because they combine all pneumonia
Hmm.
with flu deaths. There's no delineation in
Yeah,
the way they do it. So what happens is somebody dies from pneumonia from something completely unrelated, a lot of times they'll end
yeah,
up saying it was flu just because they have to put something.
right.
And they get that, but now since we have this corona, I think they're being more precise with it because they want to try and have the data as best as possible. So I think that's one of the reasons you're seeing a reduction
Yeah.
in total deaths from it.
Maybe, but with the CV is it's kind of interesting thing you might not know. Of course, it has many forms over the centuries, but occasionally people who do pass away from the flu or just get the flu actually had a CV.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like it's not been around you. It is around you. And it's interesting all the details that are coming out from that. But I think the reason I mention that mainly is because, if you listen to certain news networks, it's the end of the frickin' world, dude.
No, it's the Voldemort itself isn't. It's completely survivable. Looks like our government actually has finally mobilized a lot of stuff, at least if it's to be believed. We have the FDA today pushed through emergency approval for usage of that drug. I
Hmm.
can't remember what it's called, the malaria drug, um, for it because
I
before it
just
was
call
off
it the
label
clap.
use. Yeah, because it was off label use technically, but people have been doing it for who knows how long. Probably since it's been around. So, and then you had a whole bunch of governors, mostly Democratic governors, threatening doctors if they used it off label, they'd pull their licenses.
Yeah.
And the
Wonderful.
doctors just went, "What?" And the AMA finally did its job and stood up for the doctors and got the FDA to rush it.
Wow.
So now they can actually start using it. Plus, there's been really good tests, I guess, with zinc, like
Mhm.
dosing high dose, not super high
Oh, I
doses,
don't
but
know. Did
more than normal dosages of zinc
did
seems to be very effective at
did
fighting.
Chester say something like that about that, like, I don't know, 2 months ago?
I know,
No.
right? The other
No.
thing that we all know, or at least I don't know if we all know it, but I know it. Copper is the best antiviral in the world.
Yeah, no,
Copper is just
it
straight
is.
copper.
Yeah, it's true.
And for some reason, we've abandoned copper in our society, but maybe that's one of the reasons we need to bring it back.
Mhm, mhm. I have been taking the zinc for quite a while here because I understand what a CV is. But anyway, but of course they've been using those malaria-based drugs here in Asia, well, since
Yep.
January. So good
And
on
they're
you,
doing
America.
great.
But
Yeah.
the good thing about taking a daily dose of zinc, not only does it keep the CV, the Voldemort away, but
Mm,
it also increases male virility.
yes. I found out apparently that's one of the other potential conditions this can cause is effectively, and this is going to be gross, but it's the only way to put it, it can destroy your testicles.
Yeah, no, make you
Uh,
infertile. Yeah, that's true.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
not good. So men, it's killing more men than it is women.
a lot more,
Just
70%
just
more.
stay home, play video games, have sex with your wife, whatever you got to do. Just don't go out
Mhm.
in there. Stay away from it.
Yep.
Not worth it.
Well, I'm looking forward to the Voldemort baby boom. That's going to be
Oh yeah,
interesting. Yeah.
it is.
Maybe,
It is because we've actually kind of needed one in America. We've had, or, demographically, and I don't mean like racial demographic. I just mean young people aren't
yeah,
having kids,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's mainly because there's either they can't afford it or there's too much other stuff to do, so they're not doing that. So now that there's nothing else to do,
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of wondering if we're going to call this generation that's going to come out of this. Are we going to call them Generation Q or Generation V? Interesting. But
uh,
oh goodness, yeah. But anyway, thank you guys for being in here. We got Roger in here; it was helpful earlier. Thank you. We got Nick C as well, and we got Joshua. Hey, Joshua, what's up? Your streams aren't showing up in my sub box when you're live. I know, dude. If we're just on
yeah.
a list. I mean, what do you want? If
Well,
you
YouTube did another one of their genius updates, and now even if you're subscribed to something and they're streaming, it used to be it would put it right at the top of your little box, right?
yeah,
Well, now no, now you have to literally go and find it
yeah,
to watch it.
yeah,
It's
no.
ridiculous.
And it's not necessarily that a person is sitting doing that. We're too small to gain any attention like that. But what you're seeing is this algorithm is just automatically just listing people. So if you say the one thing wrong at any time, which to be fair, I've said many things wrong a lot. But if you say one thing wrong, boom, your algorithm moves you over in there, right? Unless but they've given you a little check mark, which protects you from the algorithm. Which is what they do. So we're not on, I don't think we're on anybody's radar or anything like that particular. We're just been algorithmed. So it is what it is, man. But
Just on the wrong side of the numbers. That's all.
we are. But nevertheless, we do appreciate you guys coming in here. If you could do us a favor and hit the share button though, and let people know we're on, that would really be helpful. We'd love to have because we usually run about 20, 30 people live, and I'm happy with that. Are you happy with that?
Yeah, that's fine
Yeah,
with me.
I'm happy with
I'm not
that.
trying to be famous. I got no business being famous.
No, not at all. We're just enjoy having a chat with some friends, man. And not showing up in the sub feed either. I know, dude. Yeah, I know. Well, what are you gonna do? It is what it is, and there's nothing I can do about it other than just to come on here and ask you guys to share. I mean, because that's all we can do. But nevertheless, we're gonna sit here and have a nice, fun time talking about some comic book stuff because this is comics news today, and we really want to focus more on comics here. The other shows we do during the week, we'll jump around and do other stuff, of course, but today really is about comics, and we're gonna try to stick it to that. So let's go ahead and get started. You ready?
Oh yeah.
I'm ready.
Oh yeah.
All right. We got some interesting news today, actually. It's not all negative, which is nice, because we don't want it to all be negative. But let's go ahead and bring this up. Now, the first bit of news I think is pretty good news, particularly if you're a fan of such things. But why don't you go ahead and read the headline there, Thundera?
Lupin the Third, the first secures U.S. and Canadian theatrical. Oh, Lupin the Third, the first. That's the whole name of the title. I
Yeah,
got you. That was a very weird. It's a very weird title.
it is.
Secures U.S. and Canadian theatrical release.
It does. And it also is securing a Japanese release as well, which they don't put in the headline, but I suppose that doesn't matter. Now, this is coming from G Kids, I think. Let me check again. I did read the article earlier. Yeah, it's G Kids. And I think this is good. Now, a lot of you might know Lupin from the Castle Cagliostro. Which of course is the Studio Ghibli take on Lupin. And this is something that's been running here in a long time in Japan. Let me see. Well, it actually says from Monkey Punch from 1967. There you go. But in Japan, Lupin is an institution unto himself. A very popular character, been around forever. Everyone loves it. The older movies and stuff replay all the time here on the TV. But I'm okay. I'm not a huge fan of Lupin, but I think it's cool. Have you ever seen it before?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
Maybe if I have, I don't remember it.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's I think the West, if they've never seen it before, I think they might enjoy it. This is kind of a 3D version of it, which should be fine. But Lupin basically is taken off the very famous French rogue Rupin, and it's based upon the that story from France. And what it is this is that's his grandfather, and he is half Japanese. He's the third, right? And they're kind of taking that play on the character. And if you don't know the French character, well, it's actually a pretty good character if you want to go check it out. I know I don't promote a lot of French stuff, but some stuff is good, you know. But basically, he is an international cat burglar. I mean, he steals stuff, and he's got a team to help him. He can do the impossible, right? And his team is made up of a crack shot, a samurai who has a katana that can cut through anything. It's like a mystical katana. And there's this girl who's basically there to, bounce the boobies, I would say. But they drive around the Mr. Bean car, and there's a police chief that chases them around the planet for some reason, and that's basically the idea of it. But it's very popular here, and I hope the West likes it. I'm kind of curious if the chat has seen Lupin at all. Let me go check. But it is hugely popular here. Let me see here. Chester, did you see Chuck Wendig and his fellow SFWAs, whatever that mean, buddies, are going after Internet Archive? Well, they can do whatever they want. They're not going to succeed at that, dude. They'll just move that crap around, man. The archive, because they don't like the fact that they get called out for the stuff they said before. And do keep in mind that Internet Archive, which there are many actually, I think to talk about the one that's
Yep.
named that. But do keep in mind that a lot of these politicians around the world, it's going to come back and bite them hard in the ass after all this is done, dude. Hard.
Hmm.
How many of them were saying the same thing that they're complaining about to Donald Trump all over the world? How many of those bastards sat there and said, "We're not going to be racist like the Trump, and go hug a Chinese day," right? How many of
Yep.
them did that? Right? It's going to come back on them hardcore. So praise the Internet Archive and all the other ones like it. But let me see here. Should get some zinc for your channel. Yeah, right. Damn. Gotta stay pumped. Yep. Hi, not showing up in my sub feed either. Yeah, I know, dude. I remember Lupin from Toonami. Oh, cool. Or Adult Swim, one of them. Uh, Go Lupin the Third, Lupin the Third, Lupin the Third. Someone's singing a song here. Nick is. I'm looking at the series right now on Hulu. Oh, cool. A boob bouncer, you say? Yes, I do.
The
But
best kind of monster. Yeah.
yeah. But I think it's fine. Like I said, I've never been a huge fan of it, but if that's your thing, you might well like it, and it's well done. It is well done. This is one of those iconic things here in Japan, so you have to have some pretty good credentials to touch it, right? That used to mean something in the West, and then Kathleen Kennedy made Star Wars. Uh,
In fairness, it started before her when they gave Michael Bay the Transformers franchise,
mm,
and it's
mm.
just all went downhill from there.
You know, I did go to the cinema and watch the last one or the next to last. I don't know how many we're deep in now, but I did go see one in the past few years. And it was so convoluted and confusing that I could barely follow it. Now, understand that what my best skill in life is comprehension, right? That's the thing that I play on my entire life for to be successful or not, is
Hmm.
comprehension. The fact that I understand everything. That's my thing, right? And that movie was really hard to follow. I mean, damn, dude. It was like, I mean, it's like someone was on acid and then they went into the editing room and they found another movie and spliced it in. I don't know what happened, dude. But
Well, think about how ridiculously trippy the whole concept is anyway, and they went further. They made it even worse than it already is.
Yeah, but just didn't you it's so hard to follow why or where they are, how they're getting to where they are, why they're doing it, where they are on the screen, weird cuts that how did we get here? I mean, it's really bad. I mean, I've seen a bunch of these movies because my kids love them, right? So that's fine, and they're for kids anyway. I have no problem with that. The first one wasn't bad at all, actually, but at least they were somewhat coherent. Yeah, I mean, silly, but coherent. But this last one, man, damn, dude. I was like, someone must have hit him with a baseball bat or something. I don't know.
Don't let Grimlock King hear you say that. He hates those movies.
Well, I mean, they're for kids, dude. They're for little kids, right? And if you take it from that point of view, if you look at it like that, you get it, right? The first movie wasn't that bad. It was watchable. It was certainly watchable. But they went downhill so quickly. But they really are for little kids, and it's just the way it is. And it's unfortunate. I wish Michael Bay had the skill to balance it, so it would be more something that, yeah, it's for kids, but the adults can have a laugh too. But he's just not capable. Michael Bay is. He's one of the most overrated dudes in Hollywood. I would even give Jar Jar, Abrams more credit than Michael Bay. Now that's saying a lot, dude.
Ooh, that's a big statement. It's a big one.
It is. And I know Michael had Bad Boys, which worked really well. He did that well. But he's done a lot of stuff. Like, wasn't there some Michael Bay Nightmare on Elm Street or Jason movie or something that he did? Wasn't there? I mean,
Turtles.
yeah. I mean, so I don't know. But
Terribly.
these movies are nothing like that. They're well written, they're well done, and the CG. I saw this came out in Japan a long time ago, and I only saw the trailer, but it looked beautiful. It looked really, really good. So, check it out. You might like it. Like I said, it depends on who you are. Let me move on to the next one here. Now, we got several of these in a row, so we'll just kind of pop through them. But go ahead, Thunder.
DC reassures freelancers during Voldemort pandemic in letter from EIC.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's difficult, right? I mean, we're just simply talking the reading news, and we can't do that. It's so
Mm,
ridiculous, man. But
it is.
it really is. Now, this is an interesting statement from DC. Bob Harris has issued a statement to some of its freelance employees stating that the publisher will remain fully open for business through the ongoing trouble. The statement does not address whether DC will continue to release products digitally while physical supply chains are disrupted. Now, I'm not going to get into reading that because really this is a chain of articles I wanted to look at. Here's another one. Go ahead and read this one.
Dark Horse vows not to release new comic books digitally until print distribution resumes.
Yeah, no, and that's the general consensus we're getting across the board, and I think that's a good
Mm,
thing, right? I mean, everyone's taking a break. Now, I understand a lot of people are screaming that this is way overblown and people are overreacting, and there is truth to that. But there's
mhm.
also a lot of people who are underreacting. So where's that happy middle ground? It's hard to know. But then again, you got to keep in mind that these leaders around the world, including our leader, Donald Trump, they're getting a lot of pressure from places and people who don't know what they're talking about, right?
Yes.
As I mean, as much as these media guys get on talking about what he doesn't know what he's talking about, which is kind of ridiculous because all he's doing is parroting his experts, which are supposed to be
Hmm.
the best in the world. So yeah, you Chris Cuomo, you're going to sit here and tell me you know more than Fauci? Really? Really? Freaking Cuomo.
Literally, and
Another
I'm
Cuomo.
not even saying this just to be funny. He's literally probably one of the best medical researchers to ever live. Literally,
Yeah.
Fauci is.
Yeah, and it's like, listen to him. Now, sure, Trump is kind of taking that, let's be positive, let's be hopeful. And Fauci's like, yeah, no, here's the stuff. But Trump is not overstating him or taking power away. He's doing exactly what Fauci tells him to do. So what's your problem? But it's not just there; it's all over the world. We're getting this. So there is a lot of overreaction, and it doesn't have to be this bad. It didn't have to be economically as striking as it is, but my here we are, right? So it's good that these companies are paying attention finally, and they're doing things like this, and it's good.
Mm.
Just be patient, just chill, right? I mean, that's what you got to do.
Just
You just got to
relax.
chill.
Just
Yeah,
relax for a little bit. Everything will be all right.
yeah,
Unfortunately, our government bought all the way into globalization to the extreme. So now it's going to take a little bit of time to pull that back a little bit. It's already starting. It's already happening. Probably by the middle of next month, or definitely the middle of the month after, this will be completely under control.
yeah.
It
But
pretty much already largely is,
yeah,
but I mean we'll have everything, more than everything we need
yeah,
to when it if and when it comes back again or something similar, we'll be ready for it.
that's
We
true.
weren't ready because of malfeasance by our government for 35 years. That's just the
That's
truth.
fair. That's fair. Yeah. And these are good things. Hopefully, we'll see a lot of positive coming on the back end of this. But someone needs to strap down that battle axe Pelosi, though. I mean,
Oh my
Jesus,
gosh.
dude. That
Well,
lady
the
is
good
way
thing that
beyond pale the pale, dude.
that we've learned is she will absolutely buckle. I mean, she buckled. She just straight buckled last week when it came to the spending bill and stuff. So it's good that she, finally buckled, at least on something. Um, the other main problem you have is people say, "Oh, we're overreacting," and I get why they're saying that.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily disagree in all facets. Like I think it's probably an overreaction in my state to shut everything down because we don't have a lot here yet. But you don't want to get a lot here yet. You'd rather overreact than
Yeah.
underreact because
No, I
if you
agree.
overreact, yeah, you might make some economic troubles in the future, but you'll probably at least have a future. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you'll still be alive, most likely, to try and fix it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, Fauci knows what he's talking about, but he's the numbers he's putting out are wow, they seem a bit extreme. But oh well, he's
Well,
the
they're from
expert.
what I understand, the absolute worst case scenario.
Yeah. At
Meaning,
least
if
it's
we
come to.
don't get any of this stuff going, and we don't keep doing it, we don't listen to the directives, and people pretend like stop being Americans for a second and just listen, shut up and listen. I
Mhm.
know we're a cantankerous, vulgar bunch, but
We
sometimes
are.
we have to shut up and listen.
That's true.
Um,
That's true.
this is one of those times we got to shut up and listen. Everybody knows somebody who's got some sort of health issue where this thing could kill them. It's just that's what it is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just shut up and listen and do it.
Well,
That simple.
it's odd. It's odd. Of course, I live in a very different environment. I live in an adult environment, over here, which is
Yes.
which is a good thing. The young people were still. They're not like the Western young people, but they still were kind of dismissing it a touch. And we had a death of a celebrity here from the Voldemort, and he was very beloved by everyone, and particularly because he was a comedian. But later in his career, he did like this pet type of show that appealed to everyone, but mainly to the younger generation. And he had this very long series where they had this chimpanzee called Pankun and his little bulldog James, and Pankun, of course, it's all set up and stuff, but a very clever chimpanzee, a very high-end chimpanzee, and therefore it was very easy for them to do things like, give him a little backpack and have him go down to the store and buy eggs, right? And that little adventure. He was capable of these kind of things to a point. But anyway, well, this series went for a long time until he ripped somebody's face off, and then they stopped doing that. But those things happen as they get toward adulthood, right? But anyway, so the whole young generation grew up with Pankun, and they love him, but he's very beloved. So this guy was the guy who did that, right? It's interesting what's happened. His death has put a shudder through the young people here in Japan, and they get it now,
Right.
right? So it's weird. The press is even acknowledging that his death has served the national interest. It's very
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah,
Yeah, that's one problem. I think that's a pretty universal problem with youth is
yeah,
the feeling of immortality.
hmm
Uh, you're not immortal, and you are
no,
not promised another breath. You could die
no,
at any time. it can
Yeah.
come for you.
Yeah, and of course, the real problem is bringing that back to elderly family. In a country like
Yes.
Japan, we're very much like Italy, because keep in mind, 98% of all fatalities in Italy are like over the age of 80. Right. So what's happening is the older generation is being wiped out, or not over the age of 80. Sorry, 98% of them are people who would have died this year anyway. Right? So it is wiping out the elderly generation. And Japan has a huge elderly population, similar to Italy, actually. And I'm very happy that the actions that have been taken here have, in general, protected our elderly generation. Our death rate here is super low. And that's good because there's a lot of people who could be affected, and we don't want that, of course. It is an ongoing thing. We can't talk about anything else. Look at us here. We're still talking about it. We have other things that are related to this. I'm going to keep going with it. But let me come over here and check the chat real quick and see if you guys have any opinions. Um, let's see here. Oh, I love Lupin. Claudio. Claudio loves Lupin. There you go. That's could you get a better, endorsement? I mean, come on. Um,
There's no greater endorsement.
yeah, right. Lupin 3 says this is from Nick. Lupin 3 is not a kid show. No, it's not. It's not. It's certainly an adult animated series. That is true. That is true. All right. Well, let's take a look here now. This is the same vein of articles that I put together here. Go ahead, Thundera.
Alrighty, the Umbrella Academy showrunner says season 2 won't be delayed. Now, I'm not really sure how he can make that declaration, but okay.
Well, yeah. Now, meaning that I think what this means is they're in the can, right?
Gotta
So
be.
therefore,
Or
it just
their post-production, the filming's done. Gotta be.
well,
Because otherwise, they don't have that authority. Like, you can't just be like, no, I'm
right.
going to keep working. Sorry, government. What
Yeah,
are you
no,
going to do
I,
about it?
I think it's in the can. And this, a lot of them are holding till this blows over, but fortunately, not all hope is lost. A few programs managed to eke out full seasons before, right? So it's in the can. There you go. Now, and that's good. I mean, it's cool. We're seeing a lot of companies trying to drop their movies onto various streaming pay sites and things like that, and I think that's fine. I have a feeling that's the future anyway. I think we're moving that direction no matter what happened with this current Voldemort. But I guess my question would be, what did you think of the Umbrella Academy?
Um, I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. I don't think it was anything like, revolutionary, going to change the world type of TV, but I liked it. It was good. I liked that they changed it up a little bit at the end too. I really liked number 5. He was great.
Yeah, yeah,
But other than that, yeah, I thought it was fine. I thought it was fine. I thought it was, good. I would give it a really give it out of 10. I'd probably give it a 7, 7.5. I think it's good.
yeah.
Perfectly, totally watchable.
And for me, it's progressivism done right, right? Because it is liberal.
Because you
It's
can
the same kind of
do that
SJW stuff.
messaging. You can do all of that stuff if you do it right. I don't have
Yeah,
any problem with you doing it.
yeah,
Everybody has a right to make whatever art they want. But if you're going to do it, make it good.
yeah.
That's
And
been my complaint from day one. Just make it good.
I think it's everybody's, and they did that well. I mean, I enjoyed it, even though it's got a bunch of crap that I don't agree with or don't want in my life.
Yes.
I still enjoyed this show. Like the one on the right, he's got the whole gay thing going on, but they didn't preach to me about how gayness is more important than heterosexuality, right? Which is what they do
Yeah.
all the time. He didn't do that. He's just a gay guy, and that's fine,
Exactly.
right? You know,
And
um,
they kind of, in a way, I don't think they intended this, but this was my read on it. They embrace the idea that it's, homosexuality, which I have no problem with. It's not normal, right? It's an abnormal thing to be, and it
well,
just is. It's just reality.
technically, it's
It,
deviant. Yeah, I mean, of course,
yeah,
it's not the 96% of population's way, of course. But I'm
and they
just
kind
saying,
of address that with him because he's that way, right? He's
yeah,
automatically that way. So it just was really. I think it was mature in how they
it
told that
was.
story. Let's put
There,
it that way.
there was a lot of maturity in it, actually, and
Yeah,
that's juxtaposed to Doom Patrol, which was extremely immature, but still was once again progressivism done right. Because Doom Patrol was fun to watch too, and that was full of progressive nonsense as well.
what a
So
surprise! We want our superhero shows to be fun. Oh,
yeah, I know,
crazy,
right?
right?
Right. But I mean, those two shows, whether you love them or not, they're definitely watchable. You're not being preached at. They're not hitting you over the head. Not like that Black Christmas that came out here a year or two ago, which was just one of the most hateful things I think I've ever seen. But it's really well done, and I'm looking forward to it. I want to see season two, especially the cliffhanger they left us on. It's like, damn, dude, where they got to go from
It was
there?
it was interesting. I don't know. It
Yeah,
should be should be fun to watch. I think they have a lot of they did a really good job of world building.
yeah,
They told just enough to make you want to know more, but not too much to where you're like, well, that's stupid. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
a lot of shows will go too far in trying to explain their world, and it just kind of ruins the magic of it.
yeah. Well, I like the chimp. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was neat. They changed Cha-Cha and Hazel too far for from the comic. Yeah, no, they did. You're right. They did change stuff out from the comic book. But I'm just saying that we have a certain agenda that is flowing through the entire world right now. Side by side with the Voldemort, and we have to make a compromise. I mean, I think most of the people here are relatively leaning toward the conservative side, and conservative
Mhm.
people, well, we conserve and we compromise because we know in the end we have to find a peaceful road. Now we understand that those who have gone so far to make themselves the enemies of humanity, which is not an extreme or hyperbolic statement at all, are unwilling to do this, but we are. We're the ones that make things move forward. So if we're going to have to deal with this crap, then at least I want it to be presented to me in a swallowable quantity, and I think the Academy is certainly in that. So I enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to the next bit. But once again, this is falling in that same type of concept we got going on here with how these companies are dealing with. And here's another one. Go ahead.
Hang on, I still see the same one. Oh, wait, there it goes. It just didn't load up. TKO offers 50% off online purchases to comic shops.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It is interesting. Now, TKO is we talked about several times here on the show a long time ago, but this is a company that's doing things a little bit different than normal comic companies do, and the way they're dealing with their workers. I think it's more close to the image idea, but I think this is cool that they're trying to help out the comic book, retailer, because there's not many people who are, right?
Hmm.
I'm happy to see this. And but once
Well, one of
again,
the other problems is that you're going to see a lot of this, even if this wasn't going on, because it's in massive decline and has been for about a decade now at least.
yeah,
Um, but unfortunately, I don't think it's going to make a dent. I
maybe
just
not.
think that model of distribution's over with. It is in every other industry. Why wouldn't it be in this one?
Yeah, no, I agree. And to be fair, what these companies really need to do, I mean, keep pushing the digital model. It hasn't caught on because we want the book in our hand. It just is what
Yeah.
it is. It's the same thing back when a lot of companies were moving away from magazines and saying people don't want magazines. It's all online. Of course, they're completely wrong. People want something
Mhm.
in their hand. It's a very different experience. So I don't think they can go completely digital. But what they really need to do is follow, what Alterna Comics is doing. Look at what Mitch Breitweiser is doing. Go back to the damn convenience stores, man. Go back to the grocery stores. Go back to the pharmacies. I mean, just do that. And I think they would save the industry if they just do that one simple thing. But I don't know if they can get past their own arrogance, dude. This is a big
Yeah.
problem, right?
And that's exactly what I was going to say. Is they still think their market is big enough to maintain its whole own distribution network, and it's just not. The reality is it's not anymore.
No.
You can fiddle with pricing. You can do stuff like this, which is great. I'm glad they're doing it. I don't want to discourage it. But the reality of it is the market has shrank too much to continue this specific type of distribution.
Yeah.
So what they should be focusing on doing, and they have kind of started to do this a little bit, but they need to really lean into it. Go where the market is. Go where the people are and
Yeah.
sell your stuff there. Don't make them come to you. People don't want to do that anymore, especially. Some people
Yeah.
do. Some people love it. They love going to the shop and talking to the people and everything. But I think the vast majority of people don't. And there's a lot of potential readers out there who would be readers if it was more convenient for them.
Yeah, and they took a gamble. They made a gamble long, what, a decade really ago is when they started this, I think, and they made that gamble that they were going to throw away their old customer base and go for a new one. And I don't blame them for that. I don't blame them for trying to do that, but I do blame them for continuing to do what has clearly failed. Right?
Yes.
It's sad for me that they threw me aside and don't want me anymore. But if they were successful, there's not much I could say about it, right? But they're clearly not. So you need to fix it, but they're not learning. I mean, look what came out with New Warriors, Children of the Atom, Spider Woman, this stupid girl who just is going to be doing the She-Hulk, writing the She-Hulk for the Disney Plus. She just won't shut her damn mouth. She keeps going on
Uh,
and on and on. And it's like, Kevin Feige, really? Are you not going to shut this girl down? Really?
no, because I keep telling you guys, if no one wants to hear me, he's on board.
I think he
The
is,
whole
yeah.
this whole last 10 years or whatever of the MCU was them doing a lot of establishing. Plus, while he was the top guy, he wasn't the only guy. There
No,
was a
he
lot of
had,
other people in
yeah,
keeping the ship tight.
he
And now
did.
he's been
Yeah,
so successful, he's basically the king of the MCU,
yeah,
especially with Iger leaving and stuff. So I'm sure he doesn't have too much, oversight from Disney directly. He's kind of just doing his own thing, and he's on board with it. It's obvious
yes,
he is. He
he
keeps
is.
saying he is, but everybody keeps denying that he is.
It was that little guy. I can't remember his name, but that guy that was keeping him in order. And it's just like Josh Whedon, right? When Josh Whedon had someone over him to keep him in check, he's fine. But as soon as he was given the full authority to make all the decisions, he lost his damn mind, right? And I think Feige is the same type. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Oh
There's
well.
very few creatives in the movie industry. I can't. I'm trying to even think of one. In fact, at that kind of level, who you can just let be kings of their own kingdom without any oversight or input. And I'm trying to think if there's anybody I would trust to do that. But for some reason, some of these guys, they're so successful that you can't really argue with the success. So they just give them more and more, more and more power,
Yeah.
and then they, trip over their own feet. So
Well, I would say that if you guys go to hate me for saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway. If you gave Jar Jar, Abrams, if you gave him complete free reign of his own original product, it might work. It'd be pure popcorn film. It wouldn't have any substance whatsoever. But that doesn't mean it wouldn't work, because he is capable of certain things, right? But he just to keep him away from IPs. I think this is a
yeah,
problem. You know?
keep him away from other people's stuff because
Yeah.
he doesn't. Even if he's a big fan of it, he has too much of his own arrogance and ego that he doesn't allow it to be what it is. Like, look at Star Trek. How much he changed Star Trek and the feel of Star
Yeah.
Trek, and
Complete
it now
lack of
it's flooded
understanding.
into the show itself,
It
and
has.
it's
Yeah.
the thing that made Star Trek great is gone. It's
Well,
gone.
he
It's
even
not been
said
in
it.
any of the movies.
Yeah, but he even said himself he doesn't get Star Trek. He said that, right? And of course and his acolyte Kurtzman clearly doesn't, because
uh,
that is the greatest debacle. These people really completely misunderstand the future utopia that Roddenberry was trying to create, and they want everything to be gritty and dirty and ugly, and that's not the point, dude. It's the opposite of the point. You don't get it. You really don't get it.
you can do that in Star Trek, but that has to be the abnormal. That has to be something that happens to them. It can't be the world. The world should be for the
Yeah.
people in the Earth, the humans. It should be they're coming from a perfect world, basically, with Earth. It's supposed to be a utopia. They fixed
Mm,
all the petty little grievances that people have. They sorted out need and wants
yeah.
to the point where it's not even a thing they worry about anymore. That does not create a world with black markets. It
No,
just
it
it doesn't
doesn't.
happen.
Yeah.
It doesn't create a world where there's human pirates running around.
Well,
It's
the
silly.
literary drinker. Do you know who that is? Not literary. The drinker guy that does
Critical drinker. Yeah, I like his show.
critical drinker. There we go. He did my favorite review of the entire season of Picard, which sums up, everything from Discovery, STD, and the other one, Beyond. It just that basically this crop of writers and creators, quote unquote, have no respect for the legacy nor the ethos that was Star Trek. Same thing that
Yeah.
has gone on in Star Wars. They just have abandoned it, and then just brought in all this politics, all this now, and not stuck to Gene Roddenberry's vision
Yeah.
of how things would have been. And that doesn't mean you can't have pirates and shit. You just have to
Yeah.
go out there and establish that this is something that the Federation has to deal with, you
Yeah,
know. But
that's right.
I mean, Billy Campbell played a character back in the Next Generation. The guy who played Rocketeer.
Yeah.
He played a very much kind of like a Han Solo pirate kind of rogue character for one episode. I can never remember what the name, but I loved that character. And I was like, that guy they could have spun that off into a whole different series just about him, you know, roaming around the quadrant, you know, getting into adventures. But that's not what Starfleet is.
No,
That Starfleet's entirely different.
Starfleet is austere, without
And now that
question.
they've changed, like Picard is not Picard anymore.
No.
He's a shadow of what he was.
Yeah, not even.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, another thing that these guys don't do well is epic. They don't do epic well, and they
No, they don't.
misunderstand that, so they shrink everything down. I mean, that's why we have the Romulan
They
space empire
do
has
do
been reduced to one
spectacle
planet,
really well.
destroys the entire empire, right?
They don't
They do
understand what epic even means. To them,
Yeah.
epic means spectacle. It means big.
Yeah,
No,
it's
epic
spectacle.
means
Sound
grand,
and
it means
fury
grandiose.
signifying nothing.
Yes. It means depth in taking that depth and multiplying it. You know, Tolkien, master of this. He created very deep lore and things, and then he multiplied that in his world. So his world was huge and grand, and you could tell all kind. You know, you could see just there's stories everywhere, even if there's not the story he's telling. It's going on in the background because that's how big his world is.
Yeah.
They don't know how to do that. They have
No.
no conception of building a world that's truly epic. They think
Yeah.
that epic just means big flashy explosions and let's have 10,000 star destroyers. That'll be epic. No,
Yeah,
that's
no,
stupid.
it's not. It's stupid. Yeah, yeah. You know, another thing they are is extremely petty, and this irks me more than anything, I think, because there was one episode of Picard, right, where I think it was Picard or STD, one or the other. It was recent, where there was a character who was back on the I think it was the Next Generation. It was the Next Generation character, and he got taken over by the Borg. But because he had he had an experience of freedom. When he went back into the collective, he created a kind of a virus, and it broke off a rebellious group of Borg, and they brought him into the new Picard. But because the actual actor had done something or said something inappropriate that that the feminists lost their damn mind about, they ended up putting him in an episode and killing him in the most vicious way they could, right? Because they're petty. Yeah. This is not has nothing to do with Star Trek world. This is outside in the real world, and they had to get their revenge on the character in there. They wasted time on that, literally. Right, vindictiveness. It's kind of like with the new Spider-Woman thing that came out with the kid Deadpool, which I don't know what the hell they're doing that for, but she is very unheroic when dealing with him. She's quite murderous, and they don't seem to understand that heroes don't kill for a reason, right? I mean, there's a purpose
Avoid it.
behind it.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's a lot of it is, and a lot of people aren't going to like this because we sometimes we take shots at Christianity a little bit here or there, but we do that out of love. But the reality of it is they don't have Christian ethics like
That's
this country
true.
used to have.
Yeah.
And fiction was great. We had that sense of ethics
Yeah.
and morality, which is don't allow hatred into yourself. Don't
Yeah.
become the thing you hate because it's not about that thing. It's about you.
Yeah.
Makes you worse, makes you lesser. They don't understand that.
Yeah.
They've gone so far into like Saul Alinskyism, they don't get that you can't allow that kind of negativity into yourself because they see that as a weapon. Everything's a weapon. Everything's
Yeah.
a tool to be used.
Yeah, no.
And because
Organized
of that,
religion has a
they
place.
can't. Yeah, they can't write an uplifting story or an uplifting hero. They can't do it.
Well, anyway, let's move on to something happier because speaking of Deadpool, go ahead, dude.
Ryan Reynolds in talks to lead Dragon's Lair movie.
Talk about out of nowhere, dude. But I mean, I'm old enough to know this game. Slick is as well. Maybe you don't know this game, Thundero. But This was at the
I remember
heyday of
this game.
yeah, no, the heyday of the arcade, right? Just before the arcades really started to go downhill and the console at home started to pick up, right? There was Space Ace and Dragon's Lair came out. Or Dragon's Lair was first, and they were kind of you had to react. It wasn't like you were controlling and running around shooting. You had to hit the button at the right time to move the cartoon along. Is what it was. It was a very different type of video game, but it was ridiculously popular. And I can't even imagine how many quarters were fed into frickin' arcade machines to play this game because it was difficult, right? And you had to memorize each point that you had to hit the point of the button at the exact right moment to get through the entire narrative. But
And if you didn't, you had 3 chances, and then
mhm.
you had to start all over again.
That's
Oh
right.
my
That's
gosh.
right. That's right. But this was a major moneymaker, I guarantee it. But of course, this is from Bluth and Goldman, and the Bluth stuff. I love. I adore that shit. I didn't even see this coming. I had no idea whatsoever. But now that it has been put in my face, Ryan Reynolds as the hero from Dragon's Lair, dude, that's perfect.
It's pretty good. Yeah. I don't know how
I
you
agree.
do this
It'd be
though.
fun. Well,
How do you
I think
tell
that
this?
they're
How do you do this movie?
well, what I think they're going to have to do is some to make the movie work the way that kind of the game did. They're going to have to have a convention or a little, thing where he dies or something, and then he has some sort of regeneration thing to
Maybe.
get him through.
Yeah.
I because otherwise it'll just seem like a regular adventure where he's facing a whole bunch of different bad stuff to go save the princess,
Yeah.
and
I think that could work if they do it
what
Groundhog Day
what
style.
what
They
was his
never.
name? Dirk? Yeah, it would be great as
His name was
Groundhog.
Dirk,
That would
yeah.
be
And
yeah.
it'll
Yeah,
be
they
a
basically
comedy
like
for sure. Yeah.
yeah, like a Groundhog Day take on Dragon's Lair, where he just for some reason keeps getting thrust into this dungeon. He can't figure out why. That could
Yeah.
actually be hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, but this was really a unique game, guys, because Don Bluth is a absolutely amazing animator, just go look at his filmography of the things he's created. It's just beautiful, beautiful stuff, and it
That
was
princess
something.
was one sexy princess too.
Yeah, she was, dude. And we had never seen anything like this in the arcade when it came out. You got to understand, we didn't have stuff like this in the early 80s, man. And when this came out, it was just this ridiculous, over the top, amazing thing. And you had kids waiting in line and fighting over whose quarter was next. We used to put our quarters on the side of the screen. There was a little bevel. From the cabinets, edging that would hold the monitor in, and we used to put our quarters in line, which I always thought was funny because they're all the same damn quarter, right? They look the same, but that's my quarter, right? But we stack them on top of each other. Who's next, right? And but this was just an amazing game that came out. It was a super mega hit, and it's certainly a thing from any kid that grew up in the '80s like myself that sticks with you. And Ryan Reynolds is not only proven himself to be a good, fun human, he's also doesn't take himself too seriously. He's had some fun recently, knocking on these stupid celebrities and their absolute egos. So yeah, dude, I'm all in, dude, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it could be a lot of fun. I hope that would be the way they take it, because otherwise, if they try and make it like like a straight film where he's just going through this dungeon and he doesn't die a bunch, it'll. I don't know. I just think it could be really good. They could come up. They could, like I said, they could Groundhog's Day it, and that movie's
Yeah.
great because it's inventive. Like the things he does are hilarious, and they could really do. This would be a great setting for that.
Yeah. What was that horror movie that came out a few years back? Actually, the second one came out a couple of years ago. But it was basically the horror version of Groundhog Day. What was the name of that one?
I don't know. I don't watch horror movies. I think they're terrible.
Oh, I love them. Let's see here. Swallowable Chester 2020. Thanks, Nick. The market needs ink. I don't think the big two want comics back in the hands of folks. They would mean a new group of readers and valid criticism. Maybe, dude. Icheb from the Voyager. There you go. Thank you. That's exactly right. It is from Voyager, not Next Generation. But Icheb from the Voyager had his eye torn out. Hugh was also killed. Yeah, yeah. They're just spiteful bastards, dude. Sheldon says Ron Reynolds will
Uh,
die several times in this movie and never win. Sorry, spoilers. Probably, maybe.
One of the things that I've noticed also well, I not noticed it. Red Letter Media did a meme that basically they kind of labeled all the people on the ship with Picard, and they're all like murderers and drug addicts and broken people in a way like it's never been really seen before on a Star Trek show. It's just
It's not
not
Star Trek,
people
dude.
to admire. And then like Picard himself is just this fuddy-duddy old man that seems to
Yeah.
be scared of his own
I
shadow.
I do believe the
And
word cuck comes into mind, or maybe even worse yet, simp.
very much so.
Ooh.
Simp, cuck, whatever. I mean, I know those are overused words, but
He's
it's
just
very weird how
beta.
they treat him.
I've seen clips of it, and that's not Picard. Picard
No.
doesn't let people talk down to him.
No.
I mean, unless he has an ulterior motive like diplomacy or something. Other than that, he doesn't let that happen. That
No.
just doesn't happen. That's just not who he is. It'd be like Kirk just letting somebody just talk down to him. That's not a captain. That's not what the captain of the Enterprise does ever. It's just so for him to allow that to happen once or twice with no repercussions for the person doing it.
Yeah.
What? Like,
Now,
it's just mind-boggling.
and the thing is, I could take what Kurtzman has done and I could turn it and make it cool in it very easily, right? If there was some evil regime that had built up within Starfleet, and not the Federation, Starfleet, Picard had to dig it out and ferret it out and get rid of it, that would have been an interesting show. It could have been an interesting show, but that's not what they're
Yeah.
doing. Of course, one of the main words that come to your mind when you think of Picard is respected,
Yes.
right?
And he's
Not
not
anymore.
at all.
Yeah.
Why? Why would he not be?
Because he's a man. How dare he?
He was the captain of the flagship for a decade and a half or whatever it was, supposedly in the canon, and he's one of the most successful, if not the most successful, officers of all time.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no chance because he had one flub that he wouldn't be still respected. He'd be a cherished hero like every great admiral and captain in our history. It's ridiculous.
It is. And of course, Kirk is highly respected and he's made several mistakes. Anyway, let's move on here. Let's move on. Don Bluth crowdsourced an animated Dragon Slayer film a while back. Whatever it became of it, I don't know, but I did recognize it when it came out, though. You're right, Nick. We should check into that. Eric says, that game stole so much money from me. Yeah, it did, dude. It did. It did. I was a little bit luckier though because my mother was always looking for a way to get rid of us, as mothers do. On Saturdays, they had a couple of things set up in the areas I lived for mothers to be able to do that. One was they drop us off early morning at the cinema down at the mall, and they would have the Godzilla, or I should say Kaiju Festa, every Saturday. And for hours, we kids would sit in the movie theater watching these Godzilla and Gamera movies, and they keep giving us popcorn and stuff. So I don't know what the price was, but
Kung Fu too, man.
Oh yeah, Kung Fu. Well, Kung Fu theater, yeah. But the other thing was there was a little putt-putt place near where I lived, and they had a Saturday, Sunday morning thing too. Or was that in the afternoon, where the parent would pay a certain price, and all the games, the quarters were shut off. You just play, right? And putt-putt and video games and stuff like that. So those are things I did. So I actually I played a lot of Dragon's Lair without paying any money at all. Well, me personally, anyway. Let's see here. That game. Let's see. Roger says it was the game that pioneered what we call what we call today video game prompt. Yeah, no, I guess so. Shouldn't Bruce Campbell play Dirk from the Dragon's Lair? That would be epic, dude. It would be epic. But I don't mind Ryan Reynolds doing it either.
He's too old now, though. But when he was younger, he would have been perfect.
Oh, thank you, Sheldon. Happy Death Day. Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, absolutely right. But I don't mind Ryan Reynolds doing it. I mean, he's earned enough cred from me that he could try whatever he wants. I'm still gonna hold it to a standard whether I like it or not. But he can give a shot at whatever he wants. I'm fine with that. The sad thing when we talk about Bruce Campbell, of course, the legendary chin that he is. If you go back and look at his career, he's got some great movies. But go back and look at all the things that he was supposed to be involved with, but he didn't. It didn't transpire. Go look at that list, and you would be shocked. Bruce Campbell, we were so close to having Bruce Campbell in so many amazing movies that would have been better with him in it, and they didn't happen. That's a freaking TFT right there, dude. the career of Bruce Campbell.
Yeah, he
I'd be down for that.
he's
Bruce
underrated.
Campbell
He's
is-
definitely underrated.
Yeah.
Well, he's not just underrated. He's a legend without doing anything massive. Like it's all underground. It's all
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Well, you just respect him for the stuff he does and the fact that he keeps his ego in check. It's like Fillion, right? Fillion, what did he do? He did Firefly, really.
Yeah, Nathan
Uh,
he did. He was also on what was that?
Castle, yeah,
Yeah,
Castle.
Castle.
That was good. That was good.
I
But
mean, he's also a cool guy. Yeah, Castle went for a long time. It went what, almost 10 years.
yeah, I watched it and enjoyed it. I like Nathan Fillion, but those two guys are kind of in the same category. They're really cool dudes that don't let their ego get in the way, right? And they've become legend. I mean, Bruce Campbell is a freaking American icon without question, right? More than the guy who created Evil Dead, Sam Raimi. I mean, Bruce Campbell's bigger than him. They all started out together as well. But anyway, moving on. This is pretty cool, though. Let's get into these last little bits we have here today. Now, this is the end of this of the last little segment I was working on. Is go ahead, Thunder.
Boom halts single issues print and digitally, but will continue OGNs and collections through non-diamond distributors. Good. Screw
Good.
diamond.
Yeah. And I don't know who exactly this lady is, but the '90s is calling and they want their goth back. But
No, they don't. Look at that. No, they don't.
no, they don't. But no, this is a good thing. This is Boom doing what they should be doing. We got to work with what's going on, and they are doing their best to do so. So it's just another in the line of all these articles we covered. And I should have put this here, I guess. But anyway, that nice little Dragon's Lair interlude was cool. But yeah, there's not much to say about it. Just these studios are doing what they should be doing, and thank you for them doing it. I guess is about all I have to say. Hopefully, things will get back to normal soon enough. I don't know. I'm really curious to see what shakes out with the comic book industry after this is all done because I really don't understand what Marvel and DC are doing. Because we keep talking about it, and I know everyone say, "Well, there's indie comics and there's all these other companies," and you're right, there are. But we all know well that Marvel, is particularly Marvel, is essential to the health of the comic book industry. It just is. We know this, and they seem to be just putting freaking gasoline on the fire, dude. I mean, I don't understand. And DC decides to join in. It's like, what? Marvel didn't have enough cringe, so we have to put out this crap? Look at this, dude. Do you see this crap?
No.
Oh my God, dude. It's
Wish I
like,
had.
well, the thing is, who is this for? Who are you making? Who's going to buy this, dude? We have a very, very effeminate Joker, or who's not the Joker.
Bruce
They're all
Bruce is half Asian in this, by the way.
He is, and of course, Catwoman is something. I don't know. She's a Latino African, whatever. That's what I don't care. But
I don't really care I really don't care about this too much if it's Elseworld, but if they're going to try to weave this into mainstream continuity, this is
no, it is Elseworld, and that's all well and good. But that's not my question. I don't care that it's not part of the canon. My question is, who is going to buy this? Who are you making this for? This is Mean Girls. This is dating sim. This is for little 12-year-old girls. And a big shock to you, DC. 12-year-old girls don't read comic books. You freaking dumbasses, dude. No, who's going to read this book, man? You're wasting paper, ink, talent, and time. I don't get
You
it.
say talent. You say talent.
Well, the art's not that bad. I mean, we see better, but it's passable comic book art. But
I'm honestly at the point that since these guys keep getting bought by much bigger companies, somebody in these companies is telling them just telling them to put this kind of stuff out, and we'll keep you going, right? We'll keep you up because for whatever reason they appear to think there's a market for it, even though their sales continuously year on year go down
yeah,
every year for the last 10 years at least, and I don't know somebody's giving them money somewhere, right?
Yeah.
They can't be operating at a loss for 10 straight years. So something's going on.
Yep. Yeah.
Um,
But I mean, they keep pushing on us, guys. I mean, Gay Alfred, why? Right? Borderlands just came out with a DLC. DLC, right? What comes out what once a year, right? And the whole DLC is about two guys getting married, right? And it's like, I don't care how much you tell me gayness is good. You're not gonna make me gay. It's not gonna happen, guys. Sorry. I do enjoy the P way too much. Don't need the D. Thank you. But that seems what they're doing. They're just saying, "No, we're going to keep saying it until you become gay because if you're not gay, you're evil." And that's what it feels like, right? And I think what they're doing is hurting gay people because in general most of us don't care. I mean, you do whatever you want, right? But now it's becoming such an issue. It's always in your face. They're always pushing it. If you're a man and you don't want to have sex with a transgender, you're somehow some kind of phobic. Like, what? I'm not gay. Well, they admit I'm a real woman. No, you're not. No, you're not. I can point out exactly where you're not a real woman. And no, but it's like that. It feels like that's what they're doing, doesn't it? It feel like they're going to keep hitting you with it until you decide that, okay, I'm gay. Isn't it feel like that's their mentality? And do you not understand biology?
It's just not going to work. They're going to be very disappointed.
Yeah. I mean, it's okay, man. The people who are gay. Good for them, dude. The rest of us are not. So, stop trying to convert us, right? They're like some damn cult.
yes. And that's pretty much how they behave as well.
Yeah.
It's very cult-like zealotry that they keep putting this crap out. Nobody
Over
buys
and
it every
over.
time,
Yeah.
over and over, and it bombs, and they just do it again.
Yeah. Now, I don't care.
It's
Yeah, go ahead.
insane. No,
Yeah.
go ahead. You're good.
Well, no, I'm just saying, I don't care about this. And of course, New York Times best-selling author. Really? When? Where? How? Right? When? Never heard of her. How is she best-selling author? And of course, you know how that works. It depends how much the company publishes. It's like has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with the people that are buying it. It has to do did they publish enough for you to get that accreditation. But
Mm.
nevertheless, this is not for any of us. And if there were a market for it, fine. But you're just putting out more wasted material. This is going to fill up shelves, and it's just nonsense, dude. Uh, but I mean, it's as if DC was like, "Oh, well, hold on a second, Marvel's getting a lot of cringe. We gotta get in on that."
Well, I think, and I've said this before, the entire problem is these marketing agencies are absolutely under the control of these rabid leftists. But they also are under this weird belief that they're all Donald Trump and they can succeed through other people hating them. You can't. For one, you're
Yeah.
not Donald Trump. You're not him, so you're not going to do it. And two, you are a customer business. If you piss your customers off, you're not going to succeed. People are only going to hate buy so many things before they're like, this is a waste of everybody's time, mine
Yeah.
included. So I don't understand why I'm guessing it's some marketing idiot telling them, look at all the engagement we got on Twitter, when really it's a whole bunch of people being like, this is absolute dog shit.
Yeah,
What are you doing?
200,000 votes to 3,000 upvotes. That is
No, look at all
engagement.
this engagement.
Um,
No.
yeah,
What?
but Slick's right though. This is a little bit different than the Marvel because this is as stated Elseworld. So Slick's right.
Yeah,
Um,
I can live with Elseworld, even though I think it's absolutely ridiculous. But
yeah.
I can live with it. It's if they tried to actually make it canon, which I could see some of these idiots saying, "Well, we've we've rebooted things before. Why not do this?" I could see them saying that.
Oh, you mean like with Doctor Who in the season before they said, "Well, I was a woman once," and they say, "Look, it's
Mm,
canon. What are you complaining about?" You mean like that?
mm, mm.
like
Yeah.
like we were telling everybody, that's
Yeah,
what they're doing it for. All the fans, like, you understand, they're just doing this so they can do a chick doctor, and then you can't complain. It's not in the canon. What's going on?
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
only reason they did it.
Yeah.
The
And I'm sure
only
there's
reason.
someone in the chat right now telling, "Well, actually, Chester, in 1968." All right, fine. Fine. All right. But yeah, whatever. It's just it feels almost as DC was like, "Hey, we got to get on some of that cringe, man." But anyway, Let's see if there's anything else we want to talk about before we end up here today. I did see a couple things here that I thought were interesting. Overwatch's latest hero, Echo, under assault for looking like an attractive female. My
What?
God.
Those aren't allowed to exist.
Oh my heck.
Yeah.
Look
Oh,
at her attractiveness.
goodness gracious. Well, I actually went and did because I was I don't know, a year ago, Pope Starfire, right? She wanted to play Overwatch with a bunch of us, so I was like, okay, I'll go play. I mean, I do play video games. I don't usually play those MOBA type of things, but I went and played it, and it was fine. But when I went to research what is this Overwatch, the internet assaulted me with a lot of pornography, a lot, and
As it does.
as it does. And one thing I noted was they're all attractive females.
What?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, and I know. So I don't know exactly what they're talking
What?
about. I'm a bit confused. Oh, let's see how attractive she really is. I don't know. That's not particularly attractive.
She go, what?
This is attractive. What? This is an attractive female. Oh no. No, that's not attractive. Yeah.
No.
No, idiots. Well, that's the world we live in. We got a couple new things came up while we were talking, dude. My Hero Academia viewers criticize Studio Bones for animation quality of Pussycat's Return. Kang, fine, all right. Character of the day: Teenage Mutant Ninjas Turtles Raphael. Let's see here. Opinion: the irresponsibility of the just make new characters argument. Well, the thing is with the new mutants, or is that what it was? The new mutants or new heroes or new warriors? New warriors. That's what it was. I don't mind the fact that they made new stuff. I'm happy with that. Actually, it's much better than Children of the Atom. That's not new. So I don't have no trouble with the new stuff. It's just you decided to go really cringe, man. I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's terrible.
Terrible. We don't care about this article either. Don't care. Certainly don't care about that crap. To help retailers. Okay, well, thank you very much, DC. Well, anyway, I think that. Oh my God, this female. Ooh, ooh. Yeah, I like. Well, no, because I like She-Hulk, dude, and she's gonna ruin it, man. And Evangeline Lilly, shut up. Just shut up. No one cares. No one cares. Just shut up.
Kyle.
Shut up. Shut up.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying, Boost or Chester. What's your name?
Oh my
I'm just
God.
saying.
Don't.
I'm just saying. Maybe Islam gets one thing right. That's all I'm saying.
Oh no,
Maybe
no,
they don't.
no, I disavow.
Yep, disavow. Disavow.
Mhm.
I'm just saying we didn't have this problem when we came up out of basements. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but I just wish the celebrities would just shut up, man. Just shut up, man. I know you're bored. I get you. Everyone's bored, but just shut up. We don't care about your opinion. We don't care how you raise your kids. You're not informing anyone of anything. All right. So maybe you should be listening a little bit. Just shut up, Evangeline. She's a hottie. I'll give her that. Although I do wish that her movie, instead of calling Ant-Man and the Wasp, they should just call it The Wasp. And it shouldn't have had, what's his name? The guy did a great job as Ant-Man. What's his name?
Phil Rudd. No.
Paul Rudd.
Rudd?
Paul Rudd.
Paul
Paul
Rudd,
Rudd.
there we
Thank you. They should have not even had him in the movie at all. Just had a Wasp movie. I would have been fine with it. I don't even know why
That's right.
they needed Ant-Man in it at all. It clearly wasn't an Ant-Man movie, and that's fine. I don't know what they were thinking. Anyway, let me come back over here. And be done with this. So let me come over to chat, see if you guys got anything to say before we end this up. Let's see here. Shouldn't brew. Okay, I read that. YA is always cringe. That's true. When we were kids, comics weren't for everyone. Dumb comics. That's fair enough. That is not passable comic book art. That is bad indie art. Well, you kind of have to compromise, don't you? These days, it's become so bad. They may not get you, Chester, but they get Booster. That's true. That's fair. Yeah. Where are her orgasms? No, I'm sorry. Where are her organs? Oh, I'm sorry. I prefer the first comment. Chester, click on the She-Hulk article. You want me to click on the She-Hulk article? No, dude. You want to? How angry do you want me to get? I mean, really? So, anyway, let's come back over here.
Anyway,
Anyway, and let's finish up. Interesting bit of articles. There was some happy stuff in there. There was some really good news coming out of comic book companies. I love the
uh,
Ryan Reynolds news, and not so much negative. A little bit at the end. But Slick, what do you think about what's going on here in the comic book world currently? How would you like to surmise it?
um, well, I don't think it's the end of the industry like forever, but I do think this may be a sea change about how
Mm,
things are done, and maybe there may be a huge shakeup that the big two may become farmed out because their big corporations need to streamline, especially well, both corporations have debt, but Disney's taken a major hit by this.
yeah,
They've
yeah,
a lot of their money makers are completely shut down. Cinema, well, the movie industry and the parks industry are not making anything, and nobody's buying anything really. So if this persists, Disney will streamline, and a lot of things will go. Um, and I wouldn't be surprised if Marvel Comics is one of those things that they just say, well, let's let somebody else handle it and have them pay for the right to do it.
yeah. And that could be a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, I have a feeling we're going to see a radical event take place in comic books by next year.
Mhm.
And I don't know that I'm going to be happy about it, but
Well,
it's
there's
just,
always manga. There's always going to be albums from
well,
from
the
Europe,
indies
but
as well. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, and there's going to be indies, and that may give nature abhors a vacuum. So
that's true. That is true. And maybe we'll see some of the indie titles over here within the indie revival Comicsgate world, hit even bigger. From doing the Pontificator show on what is that, Friday that I do that, the with RT Bear, he's got a lot of kind of behind the scenes information we don't have access to, right? And there are a lot of people chatting with him and others about, hey, how do I get in on this, right?
well, yeah,
I think we might be
I
seeing some big names come over soon, actually.
I can see that definitely, especially if the well runs dry,
Yeah,
where it used to be, and they have to actually make money. And with conventions being shut down for who
yep,
knows how long,
yeah. They make money at
they
those
need
things, dude.
yeah, they do make money at those things, and regardless of what EVS says, it's still people go to the cons and they sell their wares.
Yep.
It gives them contacts to get commissions. Um, you know, just signatures for some of them.
Yeah, and to be fair with EVS, Ethan, I mean, he occasionally does things that irks us, I'm sure. But in the end, he still kind of has that feeling of he wants to do the indie thing, and he's still supporting people, and he's been
No, I'm not.
successful.
I'm not debating that. His talk about how you know conventions are not the thing to go to anymore, and
Yeah, no, I think he's
but
wrong on that, but
they wouldn't persist if they didn't. I
yeah,
mean,
no. I think it's a great opportunity for a lot of people.
yeah.
And I'm happy for all Ethan's success, and I hope he has nothing but success going forward, because he is a bit of a linchpin, and I hope that he just does better and better and better. But let me ask the question though to you guys and to the chat as well. Seeing as we do have some murmurings coming from the back channels, that there are industry people that are kind of talking and thinking about coming over to the indie revival, to Comicsgate itself. Who would you like to see come over?
To Comicsgate,
Yeah,
whoever wants to. I mean, if they want to take the plunge, I think they should just. I'm of the opinion that people should network and work together, but not become tribalistic and make their own island, but also try to help other people. So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
But
would I
that's not my
I would
question.
definitely like somebody like I mean Silvestri was talking to Tucci a little while ago,
Yeah,
and
that's
he's
right.
doing something.
That's right.
I'd love to see him out there because he's like one of my favorites from back in the day.
Ooh,
Um, Guys like old school guys like Jim Steranko. I'd love to see him like either employ somebody or tell a story or even get into the art, because when he really puts his mind to art, his art's freaking incredible. But I mean, I like the old school guys. So
Yeah. What do you think, Thundera?
I don't think, and I'm gonna be completely blunt. I don't think any of the current guys working, besides a few select big names who would just go off on their own and make their own, they'd they Todd McFarlane it if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Um,
Like
Sean Gordon
I don't
Murphy
think
could
any of
do it. He could easily
I
do
don't
it.
know if any of them would matter. And I'm being completely honest. It's just the ill will they've created is so high that most of the people who've walked away are gone. They're probably never coming back. If anything, they're just going to read back issues, read manga, because they don't treat them like that. You can't
Yeah.
treat people like that and expect them
Well,
to be
there
like,
are a
"Oh,
few.
you're going to
I
try
mean,
again?" It's
Stefan
ridiculous.
Sejic could easily jump in this end of the pool.
There's a plenty who can do it, but I just don't know if they're going to have an impact like that. I think we had our chance for that, and unfortunately, egos and tribalism and other nonsense killed it.
Well, we're not talking
So
about
Oh,
you're
yeah.
gonna,
Simone or Mark Wade, dude. We're not talking about them. But
I'm talking about people
no,
who
I mean,
have
I just
a
mean, period.
cachet
I don't think
already. I think you're being a
anybody who
little
comes in will.
pessimistic. I think you're being a little pessimistic. I think there are plenty of people out there that who love the medium, who will go out and follow some of some of the ones who've been cool. Like Sean Gordon Murphy, despite recent events, is actually still a really good businessman. He's a nice guy. He
yeah,
had to make a choice, and he did. Um, but overall, he's one of those dudes that's cool. Um, Stepan Sejic, I think, is awesome too. Somebody like Joelle Jones easily could do it, could jump in. Um, People like her. She's cool. She's never been controversial, and she does really good work, both writing and art.
Won't matter.
yeah. Well, how about this though? What about the rebels, right? Because I mean, you can't get more rebellious than us, right? And you have some
Mm,
people who live on the edge of rebellion all the time, like say Ennis or Morrison.
mhm.
What about them?
Possibly. Um,
Possibly,
yeah,
but I think it'd be what, like I said, they'll just go do their own thing.
Maybe they have their names
There's no
big enough.
reason for anybody with real name value to jump in now. The market's gone. The people who made the money made their money, and unless you want to, get in with certain people, which a lot of them aren't going to want to do, uh, it's just not there. You can make decent money. You can do this professionally, but I don't
Yeah.
think we're going to see a huge resurgence with near $1 million books and stuff again in this space without a huge
Uh,
name behind it. And those people are going to do like Doug TenNapel and just do their own thing.
yeah.
There's
well,
no
and
reason.
there's no problem with doing their own thing now. I mean, that's if that's what it takes, and then if you can do like Polito, who's basically
Yeah.
built an empire of his own, that's what you want to look at. But you need to look at who's done the best model, and kind of try to emulate that. And that's it's not the easiest thing in the world, but it's doable,
Yeah.
and it is
Plus,
something that can make money for somebody who has cachet.
Yeah.
plus
I
a lot of these pros is just, let's just be honest with it. They don't have the grit to do this on their
maybe
own.
not, and
Maybe
sink or
not. Yeah.
swim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But that's where the wheat from the chaff and the cream will
mhm.
rise.
Well, let me pose this then. Sure, a lot of these creators aren't making $1 million like Doug TenNapel almost did, but making $50 to $100,000 and putting a couple, two or three of those books out a year, you make a living at it, right?
Yeah,
And so there is still money here without question.
No,
But
yeah, absolutely. You can make a pretty solid living doing it. I'm not saying
yeah,
you can. I don't discourage people from doing that if
it,
that's what they want to do. I just don't think you're going to see this big splash moment like
well,
we had with like Ethan and then when the books all started coming out that summer. I think that's just done. I just don't think it's going to happen again.
it's possible, but
well, I do think that they squandered some potential there
they
for
did.
various
Yes.
reasons.
That's
But
true. That
I
is
mean,
true. But let me pose this though. Let's say we get some of these big guys that come out and go on their own. They don't need us. They do all their own thing, right? But
Mhm.
if they're making money within the crowdfunding environment, that will lift every other
Mhm.
ship that's out there. So
yeah, it lists
therefore,
people.
it's useful,
That,
I think.
well, that's the thing. Like, if you get some big creators doing their own thing, and they're on the two different platforms, and if they're smart, they will do both platforms, not simultaneously, but they should tap both markets. And then and then because people are on there looking at their comic, they may see other comics. It'll bring eyeballs
Yeah.
for at least the people who like comics, and maybe some normies who just kind of jump in and say, well, "What's this?"
Yeah. And, one thing that we've talked about several times on this show, and I've heard other people talking about it too, that we've never really capitalized on is trying to get the attention of the web comics people, because that is a huge, thriving community, right?
Yeah,
That's the
And
future.
may well be, but I'm just thinking a lot of these creators might want to kind of put their foot in there and try to drag stuff back over to the crowdfunding model. Because the one thing about webcomics, even though they're hugely popular, they don't make a lot of money. They do
yeah.
not
This
make a
is
lot of
I
money.
know I know one guy in my town who's been doing it for almost going on 15 years now. Schlock Mercenary. Anybody knows Howard Taylor? Um, and he's been making volumes of his. He does a strip a day, and he's been doing it forever.
Mhm.
Um, but he makes a living, and he lives in a modest home, and he puts his money away, and then he keeps doing it over and over and over, and he stays like a month out of his strip, so he always has a buffer of like a month. Um, uh, this is a discipline if you're going to do that web comics to make a living at it,
Mhm.
and you have to start, and you have to keep at it, and you have to build your following, which he has. But how many people know Schlock Mercenary?
Not a lot, yeah.
Not a lot,
Yeah,
unless you kind of get in the scene.
yeah. Yep. And of course that plays just on top of the thing we've said here all along. You might take me as saying it jokingly, and in a way I am, but artists are flaky, dude. And,
Yeah,
to be successful in this kind of medium, you need discipline and precision. And this is
you
where
either need
editors
discipline and
come in.
precision, or you need an editor that cracks
That's
whip.
right. You need an editor, and that's why they're so valuable. And I think this is one of the things that has killed the industry more than anything else. It's not these artists having their ideas. That's not the problem. The problem is the editors have been lost. The people who
Yep.
keep it in line. That's the problem. And a lot of these guys, like you said, are going to come over and they're not going to be able to handle it. Like Thundero said, because they don't have the discipline, because they're artists, and artists are flaky.
Well, I
You,
mean,
you gotta remember, you
well,
got
like I
guys.
said, there will be people who will rise and people who will not be able to handle it.
Yeah,
And I may be one of them because I'm still, late on my book. So there you go.
there you go. There you
You
go.
got to remember, we got guys like in. I don't think anybody expected, and all praise to him or whatever you want to call it. All credit to him, Ethan, to be as successful as he has been. He didn't even expect it from if he can be believed on what he said, and what he said about it, his growth and stuff. And I'm sure it is honest. Um, it's a rare person that can actually go out on their own and have the
Mhm.
entrepreneurial spirit enough. I
Yeah,
actually said that word right. I'm impressed
you did.
to pull
Congratulations.
and and keep it going. I mean, Doug's done it. He did it, largely with our help and with everybody's help, but he was doing it on his own for years too. Mike's done it for the most part. Obviously, Ethan did it. Richard did it. It's not easy. It's work.
Yeah.
It's really hard work, and it's not like obviously it's not physically hard work, but it's mentally exhausting and
Yeah.
emotionally draining.
Yeah,
So
I really wish I wasn't so busy, because I really think the community needs someone like me, a manager type, that you can use to, like the ultra editor, right? That says, where is the page? What's going on? This is stupid. This looks bad. This is great. Whatever. You need someone that's going to crack the whip on them and keep things in line. They need like a general manager. And
I mean, the thing is like nobody wants to share their amount of money with you. I mean,
Yeah, that's
again,
another
like I
problem.
put my
Yeah.
stuff, before an editor because I know that I tend to run on a little bit, and I need people to go. That needs to go. That needs to go. That needs to go. We need to stream like that. Stream to make it flow better. Um, a lot of people who are in these things, they don't think they need it. They think, oh, I can do it myself, and then
Yeah. Well,
they
that's
put
part of the
something out.
flakiness, dude. It's part of the
Yeah, well,
flakiness.
they put something out, and you know, there's been quite a few books and some of the bigger names in Comicsgate that really needed an editor. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
like a real editor, not somebody that you think is an editor, but that has skills to say, look, this needs to be fixed because it looks bad and it doesn't work. And how many people around here are gonna pay for that?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the
Well,
thing.
yeah,
Your time is valuable. So
it is.
I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm just suggesting someone like me, the manager type person, the person who is, 100% iron-sided manager. They need it desperately, desperately, because if
yeah,
you had someone like that was running everything, we would have it would be much smoother situation and things would be coming out. And but the problem is your point you're making is perfectly correct because their ego or a simple need for every penny will get in the way of that. It's unfortunate, but that's why editors exist, guys.
well,
Editor is yeah, the
I think
editor.
$300 is well spent on an editor if 40 pages or above. But they have to be competent. They can't just say that they're an editor. They have to show you and examine, like with a scalpel
Yeah,
and their pencil, saying this needs to do this and this and this, and then do all the minutiae,
yeah,
dot the i's, cross the t's, make sure that there's a comma in the right place, and you know they need
yeah.
to know their spag, all that stuff,
Sure.
plus know how the sequential art works properly.
Yeah, but it's not just the actual editing aspect of it. You need the person who is going to keep and maintain deadlines and someone
Yeah,
who has the strength to say no. I mean, that's the creators, the creative types, those right-minded people. They need someone that's going to keep them on track. And
yeah,
we
and keep
talk about that
structure.
a little
Yeah,
bit. Keep structure. I mean, that we know Kevin Feige is probably about to let loose his inside Barbara Streisand is about to come out, I'm sure. But you need that person that keeps it in check, and we are lacking that. I think is one of the problems. And now I'm thinking along the lines of us being an actual community, right?
yeah, it'd
But
be
I don't
nice
know
if
that that's the case. So
Well, I mean, I'd rather it be a community or other than, what it seems like now in a lot of ways is a cabal or a cartel. I'd like it to be a community, a network, and that sort of thing. However, an editor needs some sort of authority and to do properly, and either you need to cede that authority by paying him and then paying attention to him, or you need to work off a hub like an actual organization. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't. I
yeah,
mean, I've seen it happen too many times with people who've written novels that I know of, and then they end up trying to self-publish, and it looks half-assed because they did not follow what their editor
yeah.
told them to do, which is really weird if you pay an editor to do that.
Yep, no, true, true, true. All right. Well, it is time for us to get out of here, guys. And because I got to get to work. But interesting conversations today for sure. And I'm happy to see that a lot of the industry is starting to respond to the problem and being professional. That's a good thing. So thank you to all of them for doing that. Thank you to all of you for being here. I'm going to let who wants to do the namaste today.
Mm.
See,
Do you want to do it, Thunder, or you want me?
this is where a manager comes in. Today, Slick will be doing the namaste.
Oh,
I will start with Thundero. Thundero, final words,
You see
please.
that? You see that, everybody? That's the old sales trick. I just shut up and let them talk,
Mhm.
and I won. I win because of it. Uh, we're doing a show tomorrow. Yes.
We are doing Bugbear's Basement, of course, tomorrow. We'll be continuing in Comic Book Bob's Adventures in Eloterra, I think it's called. Yep,
Gotcha.
and that should be fun.
Thunder, you can come on and play, a shopkeeper. We can have you do an
And
NPC.
then doing no, that's not going to happen. And then we're doing fan
Uh,
speak on Wednesday. So I'll see you guys on Wednesday.
Sweet, rock on, Slick.
All right then. I'm gonna do my general stuff. You can go find my book, Little Girl Lethal, still on demand on Indiegogo. You can find me on Twitter at Slick Jimmy Love, and you can find me tonight, right after this, the Cheesecake Challenge on Slick Jimmy Speaks at 9 o'clock p.m. at Mountain Standard Time. We're doing Warhammer 40K, ladies. So if you guys like that, come check it out. Ah, namaste, namaste. What shall I say? When you walk the world and the road rises to meet you, look into the sun, feel the wind on your face, and be grateful for it every day that you do so,
Mhm.
because otherwise you could be shut in the house like we are now.
Yeah, and you could go blind. Don't look in the sun, folks. It's not good. No.
Look into the sun. You know what I mean. Chief
Namaste.
priest.
Namaste. Later, everybody.